I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Start off with item number 3, public comment. Is there any public comment? Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Sir.
Mike Lombardi, I'm 21 Lakeview Avenue, Seymour, Connecticut. I'm one of the assistant chiefs for the Seymour Fire Department. One of the things I'd like to bring to your board is the department is looking forward to going forward to doing a charter change. I'm sorry, ordinance.
Give me one speaker at a time per family.
Per family.
Please continue, Chief.
It's section 6-22, enlistment qualifications and qualifications of volunteer. What I'll do is I'll read the current section and what the proposed section is. This has been discussed at a Chiefs meeting and with the Board of Fire Commissioners, so that's why we're coming to your board tonight. The department, section 622, the department shall consist of not more than 200 men and shall be filled by volunteers enlisted from the citizens of the town under such regulations as shall be established by the chiefs and assistant chiefs. Provided, however, that there are no persons under the age of 18 that shall be a member of any company, nor shall be enlisted by allowed of any terms less than 12 months. Okay. So the proposed change is the department shall consist of not more than 200 people and shall be fulfilled by volunteers enlisted from the citizens of the town or bordering towns under such regulations as shall be established by the chief and the assistant chiefs, provided, however, that there are no person under the age of 18 that shall be a member of any company, nor shall be enlisted be allowed for less than 12 months. Okay. The reason that we're doing this is we have some members in both companies that live on bordering towns such as Oxford, Kingston Falls, and some interactive fire. So we want to come to the board as a future forward. Any questions you have?
Can't ask you a question. We
We
already have.
Okay.
And you?
Point to synopsis.
Guidance, Rich. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? Hearing no public comment, we'll move on to item number 4, approve minutes of the November 18, 2014 meeting. To have a motion to do so? Motion by Len, second by Nicole, under discussion. Fire chief's first name is John. So if you make that note, he's referred to as Mike. So I think that's probably just a typo, I don't know. Another chief is here, maybe named Mike, that maybe that caused confusion. So, but just make note of that. Any other changes, questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Chair votes aye. Or excuse me, chair abstains. Motion passes 5-0-1. Can you just note my abstention, please? Okay, item number 5, first selectmen's report. It's a little lengthy. Okay. Union contract negotiations are starting to wrap up. Warren's with us tonight and will provide us an update during executive session on the current status of each. Weekly review of the 2014-15 budget is ongoing. On the income side, we remain in line with projections. On the expenditure side, we are showing 2 areas of potential concern that I've previously mentioned: retiree health benefits and town building maintenance. Also, we are projecting about a $10,000 shortfall in our engineering line item. With the increase of projects through grants as well as the road program, we are having more work produced than anticipated. We will continue to monitor these accounts and will provide updates as the year goes on. All other accounts are trending as projected. I completed my initial recommendation for the 2015-2016 budget. I'm now meeting with department heads to review their expectations and to prepare for presentation to the Board of Finance next month. I will be recommending several changes to the overall budget to continue to streamline our operational process. I attended the National League of Cities Conference in Austin, Texas on November 18th to the 22nd. I had the opportunity to attend several informative workshops on economic development, budgeting, long-term planning, and performance management. I also had a chance to speak with other chief elected officials to discuss things that are and are not working well for them. Overall, I thought the experience was very positive and very worthwhile, and I look forward to attending next year's conference. When I came back, I took part in 2 National League of City Universities webinars to expand on sessions I attended in Austin. The 2 sessions were on performance management and its importance in building a better service delivery operation. I'll be working with Michelle in the coming months to start a similar program for the town. I received letters of request from SANTA and VEMS regarding tax status for the town of Seymour. Both organizations received denial letters from the assessor's office regarding their tax exempt status. I have spoken with the executive directors of each organization, as well as speaking with the assessor. I will be turning both of these issues over to Warren, to have him give to Rich to review and to report back to this board at our next meeting to provide direction and next steps. Attended the Shelton Economic Development Corporation annual meeting to show support to our fellow Valley town. Attended the Rimmon Street informational meeting. Due to the state's timeline, we will not be going out to bid on this project until September of 2015, pushing the start date off until the spring of 2016, 1 year later than anticipated. The reason I bring this up to the board is in category B of our road program is to redo all the roads off of Rimmon Street. So we're going to need to rethink how we want to handle that as we go forward. Attended the Christmas tree lighting at Broad Street Park. I'd like to thank all those that worked to make the event possible. It was a nice way to kick off the Christmas season. I met with Superintendent Syriac and others regarding the possible creation of a town-wide facilities department similar to the technology department recently created. A lot of this is stemming from things that we talked about in the 10-year strategic planning initiative, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Initial conversations went well, and I expect to be coming back to this board with more information in the coming months. Other areas we could potentially look at down the road include legal services and finance. I was very proud to accept on behalf of the town a 2014 CERC Celebrate Connecticut Award for our work on the Fish Bypass project. The award recognizes the community's overall contribution to the economic growth of the state of Connecticut. And finally, the transition for our MSW and recycling pickup has been completed. While we've had a few small bumps along the way, everything seems to be running quite well now. In regards to projected savings, for MSW, our net tonnage for November was 409.61 tons, down from 571.41 tons in October, a savings to the town of about $12,500 for the month. On the recycling side, in the 16 months preceding the change, the town averaged 25.26 tons a month, with a reimbursement monthly average of $252.56. In November, we recycled 41.23 tons for a reimbursement of $494.76. While it's still only 1 month in, the numbers are much better than we had expected or projected. I think the board should be very proud of the decision that we made on behalf of all the residents of the town. So with that, I will close my first selectmen's report. We'll move on to item number 6. Discussion and take possible action on approval of efficient and effective local government portion of the strategic plan. Okay, everybody should have this in front of us. This was presented to us, I believe, 3 meetings ago. We had some comments back to them. They have gone through, they have cleaned that up. Tricia's here if we have any questions. So is Don, so is Kathy. So at this point, I'm going to entertain a motion that we accept as presented the efficient, effective local government section for the 10-year strategic plan as presented. Motion by Len, second by Nicole. Is there any discussion? Anything any of you guys like that? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, presentation and discussion of MSOC 2014 report. Chairman Lombardi.
Good evening, board members. Emergency Management Oversight Commissions, please provide the Seymour Board of Selectmen. You should have copies of the following report of the Seymour Ambulance Association. We use basically 8 different categories that we look at. Of particular note on the report is vehicles and equipment. This year, the ambulance corps went out and took purchase of a new 2014 F-450 ambulance, replacing a 2007 vehicle for the purchase price of $170,000. They put $120,000 as a down payment, and they have financed the balance of the purchase. Additionally, they purchased a third mechanical CPR device, so now that each ambulance has its own device. These devices provide automatic chest compressions so that the responders can more effectively manage the patients during times of cardiac arrest. In addition to some 23,000 volunteer hours, on the back side of the report, if you look at community support, they partake in about 10 different items around town. So we're going to leave the report with you. I'd like to thank Scott and all the volunteers over there and the staff for another fine year. If you have any questions on the report, you can direct them to Scott or myself. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the report as presented? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the report as presented by Chairman Lombardi.
So moved.
Motion by Karen, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Next item, item number 8, discussion, take possible action, 1-year extension of WPCA contract with Veolia. Okay, we have been working with Veolia since we signed the last extension. As you know, our hope was to have it done by this year. The issue that we ran into is because of the size of the contracts, Rich did not feel comfortable not going out to bid on this. It would have required the selectmen to waive the bid ordinance. On a 10-year contract of that size, we'd be talking about $15 million. I think for a contract that size, we need to do our due diligence. So it is Rich's recommendation that we go out to bid. I did work with Veolia over the last 2 months or so. They're willing to extend our contract as is for another year to give us the opportunity to go out to bid. They feel comfortable that they will win the business through a bidding process, which certainly makes me feel a little bit better that they're that confident in it. Jim Galligan is currently writing up the bid specs. We expect that to go out at some point the end of January, beginning of February. And then I'll bring those bid specs back to this board for final approval. We'll go out to bid, we'll see what happens, and then we'll take it from there. Veolia is open to, if they do win the bid and the bid is awarded in July, they will have no problem starting the contract in July. So they're open to work with us. So at this point, I'm going to entertain a motion to allow me to sign an extension of terms of agreement through December 31st, 2015 with Veolia Water to provide service to the Seymour Water Pollution Control Authority. Motion by Nicole, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Next item on the agenda is item number 8, discussion, take possible action on Seymour Fire Department surplus equipment request. The last meeting, which I was not in attendance, you had a conversation with Chief Cronin regarding the surplusing of engines 10 and 18. In your packet, you will see a formal letter, which I will read into the record, dated December 13, 2014, dear First Selectman Kurt Miller. This letter is to inform you and the Board of Selectmen that on December 8, 2014, the Board of Fire Commissioners voted to surplus engines 10 and 18. Sincerely, Gene Atkins, Chairman, Board of Fire Commissioners. Okay, so we have a letter in front of us asking to surplus the trucks. Now, it's town practice. We would take the recommendation of the board that controls such equipment and allow that to happen. After that is done, the equipment needs to be put forward to any board or commission in town that would like to make a request on that. If it is claimed, we have the discussion on that. If it is not claimed, then it goes out for sale. The money then comes back into the general fund, and that money can be requested by the board whose equipment it was for use for an additional purpose. Okay, so that is the standard practice that the town has always used. So at this point, then I will entertain a motion to surplus engine 10 and engine 18 based on a recommendation by the Seymour Fire Commissioners from December 8, 2014.
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Len. Is there any discussion?
Yes,
Karen?
I would like more information about this.
Okay.
You know, I didn't understand the way this was worded, surplus, that means extra. And, you know, I just don't think I have enough information to give an informed vote
Okay.
on this. I really need more
Okay.
information.
What specific questions do you have? Because we have fire commissioners and fire chiefs here. We can invite them into the conversation to answer any questions that you may have.
Sure.
If you don't feel you've gotten the answers, then we'll go from there at the end, but make sure your questions are answered.
Well, I understand that the equipment is older than some of the newer equipment that we have, but, honestly, I get a lot of, and no offense, but I get a lot of questions about the amount of fire equipment we have in this town. And, you know, as somebody who lives in an area of the town where there are no hydrants, I don't personally have a problem with it, but I just would like to know why, I don't know how to phrase this. Why is it that year after year after year, we're buying new fire equipment? And I'm not sure that it's speaking on behalf of the people who have spoken to me. They don't know why it's necessary.
Oh, well, I just want to make this step clear.
Okay,
All we're doing now is we're accepting the recommendation of the fire commissioners to get rid of 2 trucks. This has nothing to do with purchasing additional trucks.
okay,
So this is just their recommendation.
okay,
I mean, they have the operational responsibility of the fire department, so they are deeming that these 2 trucks are no longer necessary for fire department needs.
okay.
So that's what this recommendation is. If your concern is the second part of it that the chief had brought up about purchasing additional trucks, it's a different conversation. And by saying yes to surplusing this, does not in any way make a decision on the purchasing of those trucks.
So,
That's a separate thing.
I think I can clarify for Kurt.
Yeah.
I believe the chief made a statement that we want to surplus these so we can purchase a new.
Okay,
Or a new.
they're not
So
connected.
maybe that's where
Okay,
Karen is.
yeah, these things are not connected.
so surplusing means we're putting these up for sale.
Surplusing means this
Correct.
department no
It
longer
means
needs the
want them.
equipment.
Right, either wants them or needs them.
But then you're telling me it doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna be asked to spend a lot more money on additional equipment because they don't need these 2 trucks?
Could they ask us to spend more?
Well, I know
money?
they could.
They could, absolutely. Are they going to? It is my understanding that yes, the chief's gonna come forward with that. But this decision does not impact that decision.
Okay,
From our perspective.
okay.
I mean, we can then at that point on its merits decide within the capital plan if we wanna purchase more fire trucks.
I mean, I read it and I just didn't really understand exactly what they were asking us. They're asking us for permission to sell the trucks,
They're asking us permission to surplus the trucks.
which means,
They don't need them anymore.
and if they surplus the trucks, where do they go?
Either it's put out to any department in town. So let's say the police department wants to use the trucks for whatever reason, the police department can ask to take the truck. If no one does that, then the trucks are sold.
And the police department is trained to use these trucks?
These certain
What?
trucks are just trucks. They're not like the big,
It's not
Fire
the-
truck.
Yeah, this is not the ladder truck, this is not the ladder truck.
Okay, all right, that's my, okay.
no, it was in the big handout that we received that had pictures of
Hold
all
on,
of them.
hold on. Okay, does that
I
clarify
yes,
that?
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
But I just wanna make sure you understand what we're voting. Now, if your question is, are the trucks needed or not, that's not a decision that the 7 of us can make. That's a decision that the fire commissioners make. That's their charge and their responsibility.
Okay,
So, I mean, if you wanna ask that question, we can ask them to answer that.
okay, can we?
Okay, so, yeah, I don't know which one.
I have,
Who wants to respond?
You have questions?
No.
You should, and then just give your title as well.
Yeah, Mike Bertie, Winter Lakeview Avenue, Seymour, Connecticut. I'm the second acting assistant chief. To answer some of your questions, I don't know if I have all the answers, but I'll try to hit on most of them. the word surplus, I understand, can be confusing. A better word from my board as chiefs and the board of fire commissioners would be probably decommissioned. Both these trucks, as you said, are older. They are a smaller engine. They're not like our big Class A engines that you see now. They're smaller. They don't carry as much water, and the pumps aren't as large. The town of Seymour currently has 4 Class A pumpers, which carry 1,000 gallons of water and can pump a lot more water. So the trucks have gotten bigger, and the trucks have gotten carry more water and pump more water. As far as non-hydrant areas, well, the town of Seymour has about 40% non-hydrant.
And I'm one of them.
Great, and I'm sure that's a concern to you. We do have a tanker on the other side of town that carries 3,000 gallons of water and 2 Class A engines in that truck. We just recently did a drill, probably about a month and a half ago, where with mutual aid tankers, including our own apparatus, we were able to flow about 89,000 gallons of water for about 2 hours. So it's quite a bit of water for not having hydrants. So we are very capable of protecting houses that don't.
Well, that makes me very happy because the thought of you guys pulling water out of Bobby Rich's pond doesn't thrill me at all.
The one thing about pulling water from ponds that we have to keep in mind is the ponds aren't as large as we think, and if there's not a lot of water going into them, we really can't draft that. So we have tankers and we have mutual aid agreements with other towns that have tankers that will automatically dispatch and we have a working truck on that side. So we have plans in place. You know, we're not getting rid of these trucks and saying, oh, we hope there's never a fire there. We have plans in place for protection, where we would mitigate harm.
It makes me feel much better, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, actually, just to clarify, 2 questions, actually. One, just to be absolutely clear, you know, to kind of dovetail off what Karen is bringing up, and I asked this of Chief Cronin the last time he brought this up. Do we have sufficient coverage in the town of Seymour with retiring these 2 trucks to provide adequate public safety? Okay. And the other question I have is, you know, the letter from Commissioner Atkiss simply states that the Board of Fire Commissioners voted to surplus. Was there any other portion of that? What was the actual vote? Was it simply just a surplus, or was it to surplus and do other things?
All right, I don't know exactly what the exact vote is without looking at the minutes, but it was to surplus, and we have a plan forward to start looking at replacing the diesel with utility trucks. A truck of that small, that nature, I mean, for instance, we can never set that truck up to pump to one of our larger trucks.
Mhm.
Because basically, you know, if one of our bigger engines is pumps 1,250 gallons a minute, this truck only pumps 250. So you're not getting the flow, the best flow rate that you need for the fire.
Sure.
We want to put a big pump in with big.
So basically, I mean, they're 2 separate things, though, that you're talking about. You know, one is, right now, we are faced with, okay, do we surplus? And then down the road, we'll, you know, you guys will figure out what you need to figure out. Okay. That's it.
You gotta say. Correct, I believe there was some question, and the question was, the request was made in November, the chiefs didn't vote on it until December. I think that was, and I guess Scott or Chris, you guys can speak to that, I think that was, a question of process that wasn't followed properly.
Scott Andrews, one of the fire commissioners at the time. Yeah, back in October, there was a vote that was taken to table the surplusing of this equipment until our November meeting, so that, because we had internal questions that we wanted to obtain answers to make sure that we were doing the right thing for the town and it wouldn't affect the residents of the town. We ended up, as a board of fire commissioners, not having a November meeting, but it was brought before this board prior to it being voted on by the Board of Fire Commissioners to surplus equipment. In essence, everything worked out the way it needed to, but just going back to Len's question regarding was there anything else to the motion of surplusing the equipment. The motion that we made was to surplus the equipment and ask the town to sell the equipment outright so that we could obtain funds, so that we could apply those funds toward the purchase of a new piece of apparatus. It turns out that for some smaller departments in other areas of the country that really don't have the benefit of the equipment that we have or the money to spend on it, there is value of this 35 to 36-year-old apparatus for them. It's not a lot. The total that we've been bounced around with was about $15,000 for both pieces of apparatus. But $15,000 coming back to the fire department so that we can look at purchasing, a replacement vehicle that is somewhere in the area of $50,000 to $60,000 is a fairly good chunk of money for us. So that was part of the motion and the discussions in our Board of Selectmen's meeting as well. And it wasn't to circumvent the council's process of surplus equipment, but we are asking that we encourage the Board of Selectmen to sell it rather than to offer it as surplus equipment to other departments. So that was a part of our motion as well.
The issue that we have, I guess now, is the letter that is in front of us does not ask that question, does not state that.
No, I understand that. So you have to take action, obviously, on what you have, without our minutes being present. But, I was answering the question, I suppose, what action you can take in this board.
Well, the reason that I put that out there is that you feel that that is not the action of, and Warren, correct me if I'm wrong here, if that is not the intention of the vote of the fire commissioners, would you like to withdraw this request at this point?
That's not my decision. Commissioner has to sign the letter. So,
Oh, but I'm saying, because we have to take action on what's on this letter, we can't put any other
I understand.
thing in there. So, I mean, if you guys wanted to take this back and bring this back just the first week in January, a different letter, that's up to you. But, we have to take action on what's in front of us. So,
It's not up to me to retract that. I'm a member, I'm actually an outgoing member of the board. So I'm just trying to find clarification on a question.
listen,
I'm
you're on
not gonna
for at
take
least
any
another
action
45 minutes.
Or less.
So, well, Chris is staying, so maybe he can come up. Okay, so then we'll have to take action on what's in front of us, and then, if the fire commissioners want to send out a letter for January for our meeting, for the second step in hand. But, the understanding of, and just to make this clear to the fire commissioner in the room, this is not just the Board of Selectmen decision, it's the Board of Finance decision, this affects the capital plan, we have to go through the normal budgeting process. We just couldn't arbitrarily say, yes, you can use this money, you won't buy another truck.
No, and that's understandable, but
Right.
typically when we've been able to offer for sale these other pieces of apparatus, it has been come back into,
Right.
to be used for this.
And I don't think that's an issue, but it's tied to more expenditure, which you don't currently have budgeted. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It all needs to be tied. The proper process needs to be followed there. Yeah, Chris, you can come up. You don't have to.
So, basically, we understand that.
Just have to- Just get in the camera.
14 Country Club Drive, Commissioner for their help. We understand that it's a possibility that we won't be able to purchase the trucks, we get that. But current engine 10 hasn't been used, I think it's been close to 2 years, and 18 that we kind of drive it, we bring it back either with jumper cables or getting it towed. So,
10 is at Citizens,
10 is
18 is at
Citizens,
Great Hill.
18 is at Great Hill, right?
Just so
So,
you know.
we want to surplus the equipment because we're not gonna fix it. We want to put more money into it. So we get that. It's step one, surplus it. We're hoping the money goes back to the general fund. Step two is we're gonna ask for a plan the chiefs and present to us to purchase 2 utility vehicles, basically, so that we don't have to put $500,000 pieces of equipment at accidents for long periods of time, stuff like that, pump outs, et cetera. So I think we presented that plan last month. It's part of the strategic plan, but we understand that. So we definitely want to surplus the equipment. If we just hope when we come back, then, phase 2 is we're gonna look to get something different.
Right. I'm not saying we're for or against it. I'm just saying
Right.
it's 2 distinct steps. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everybody's comfortable with that. Yeah. Okay, so Karen, did that at least,
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you, thank you.
so do you feel comfortable enough now to vote
Yes.
on what's in front of us?
Yes,
Okay. Everybody else, is everybody else good on what's, the statement that's in front of us? Everybody good with that? Okay. So at this point, then, I think I already made the motion. Okay, so, all in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Along the same part in item number 9, we also received a letter dated December 11th Says on Monday, December 8, 2014, the Board of Fire Commissioners voted to surplus their 1979 Dodge Salisbury front mount four-wheel drive pumper in service, currently stationed at Gray Hill Hose Company. As per town charter, emergency management is requesting that vehicle to further enhance our abilities to deliver assistance to the community and to provide a platform for our search team to grow on. Sincerely, Thomas Amy, Emergency Management Director, Town of Seymour. Okay. So we have a request for the vehicle. For one. 1979 Dodge Salisbury stationed at Great Hill. Is that 18 or 10?
18.
So that is not the one that hasn't moved in 2 years?
Correct.
Okay.
Both will be from that, right?
Correct. Okay. So this is before us now. Now, I spoke to Tom Amy today. It's his intention to use this truck to replace the 4x4 truck that they have now, which has severe body rot. So he would use this vehicle to replace that vehicle. They feel it's maybe several $1,000s to do repairs to that vehicle. So that's where this stands. He is willing to, well, not willing to, he would do the same thing. He would surplus that vehicle, and he would fully support any funds from that going back to the fire department to offset potential costs for the new vehicle that they're looking at. So that's where we stand. Gentlemen, anyone, commissioners? Chiefs, anybody want to add anything? All right. Chris, come on.
Chris Matasky again, Board of Fire Commissioners. The only question I would have is, it's a pumper. It is a mini pumper, although it's small, right? And you said it was 1979. One of the reasons that we're not moving forward with it is we don't have the money to keep it on the road for the amount of times we use it. I can't imagine another agency in the city would need a fire truck, not a utility truck, but a fire truck. I'm surprised by that. I don't think it's in the best interest of the city and the taxpayers' money. I certainly want to support it from the Board of Fire Commissioners. I'm not going to speak for fire chiefs, but the fire chiefs run the fire department. So fire equipment needs to stay with the fire department, per se. If it's a fire truck. If it's a utility truck, I get it, but it's a fire truck.
Okay. Thank you. Chief?
I'm very familiar with the NC mark.
It's just for, we'll assume you're from Seymour since you are the fire chief.
Just to go along with what Mr. McCluskey said, I also am not really sure what emergency management is. As far as firefighting versus like emergency management, the fire department is ultimately in charge of fire operations. I'm not sure why emergency management would be contingent. Not only that, but who's going to do the truck has a pump on it that needs to test the regular.
Okay, it is my understanding that the pump in the front will be removed, and it will be used as a four-wheel drive vehicle to replace the existing four-wheel drive vehicle.
And what's the age, I asked him, the existing vehicle?
I don't know, to be quite honest. I don't.
But it's newer than 30 years.
I would venture to guess yes. So but it was a police department vehicle.
Correct.
And the wear and tear in those cars don't match the years of service.
Okay. But.
It's like a dog.
Right, I understand. So I guess what my point is, so we would be considering, or your board would be considering replacing a vehicle for, getting rid of a newer vehicle for a vehicle that's over 30 years old.
Potentially.
Okay.
But again, you can't base, and Warren, if we have to stop this conversation, it's fine. We had a rescue truck that was deemed obsolete for the fire department that's now being fully utilized by the police department. So every department's needs are different. So it can't be solely decisions can't be solely based on what works and what doesn't work for the fire department chiefs. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the argument, I'm just saying. Public Works could want it to spray water on the fields to help water. That could be a legitimate use. So, But I think your point is well taken with regards to repairs of the truck.
Right.
So, this board doesn't have to take any action on this, tonight, it's just a request that was put in, and I think if there is, some of these questions outstanding, that we can just accept this request, and we can talk about it at our next meeting, and go from there, and then Paul will be back for that meeting, so we'll have our full board.
I move to table the item.
Do we have to table it, because it's not officially on the agenda? Let's postpone it. Send her the one after one.
Table makes it to.
But it, I mean, it's not actually on the agenda, it's just something I brought up in conjunction with that. So should we table it? Or not?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Len has made a motion to table.
Second.
Motion is seconded by Karen. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, just to clarify, I think it's important for us to get some information as far as, you know, the difference in cost of running this vehicle versus the current vehicle in play, and start asking some of those questions and try to get some of those answered before the next meeting from the emergency and the repair costs, et cetera, from the emergency management director, just so that we have more than just a letter in front of us, some actual tangible information.
I agree.
Okay, along those lines, I can ask the mechanics of Public Works also to look at the truck, give us their opinion on it. So in lieu of that, Commissioners, Chief, I don't know if you can answer this question. What do you want to do with the trucks in the time being? I assume you want them out of the firehouse.
We have to take everything off.
Okay, so it's not gonna change anything in the next 2 weeks? Okay. And again, if I can ask another question, if the intention was to take that pumper off that truck, and that were to happen, would you want the pump, the front mount pump? Would you get any value out of that sold by itself?
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you, strip 10 down, whatever you need to do, and then before you strip 18, just let me know, and then I'll kind of see where we stand. We should have an answer by the 6th. I don't know how much you guys are gonna do between now and the 6th, with the holidays and everything. But, you know, we'll figure that out and we'll go from there, but I assume you could take all the equipment off that, so if you get some value out of that. Okay? So you'll keep the 2 trucks until at least the 6th. No for sale signs out. That's an up and down, not a side to side.
Yeah.
No, that, I'm just saying don't sell them between now and then. Go on Craigslist and see 2 fire trucks? Okay. All right, so, we made the motion, right? Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is item number 10, executive session. And we go into executive session tonight to discuss Public Works and the clerks union contracts. And I'm going to invite Town Labor Council Warren Holcomb to join us. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session at 7:43 p.m.
So moved.
Motion by Len, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. We do it at the end. No, I'm just gonna give